Hello and welcome to the Bothering Strangers podcast with Max Hearing. I'm Max Hearing. My guest today is a very interesting guy. He's a retired UFC fighter, once one of the best UFC fighters in the world. He is now a comedian and a psychedelic researcher. My guest today is Ian Uncle Creepy McCall. Ian, how's it going?
I'm doing very good. How are you guys? How are you
Good, I'm
guys?
good. Yeah, it's just me, man.
It's just me.
I'm good. I'm good. You've been in the news a little bit in the last week because the UFC is now considering uh, employing or using psychedelic therapy in some way, shape, or form to help its fighters and its former fighters.
Yeah.
And Forbes obviously recently wrote an article about your work with Dana White, the president of UFC. So can you just explain a little bit of like what that kind of research would entail?
I'm the annoying friend that took mushrooms that has to tell all other friends about it.
Okay,
Uh, but I'm just,
I know about those people.
yeah, and people just don't shut up about their psychedelic exuberance. They want to talk about it. For me, it was the same thing. I just have friends like Dana White. And I actually like doing science. I like being a part of science. Um, and I just, I brought me and my team, my fiance, Del Jolly at Unlimited Sciences. We brought a study to the UFC over a year ago with psilocybin. Now the UFC obviously trusts me. We do business on other levels, so that's why I had this opportunity to bring it to them. Um, but to think that a major sporting organization over a year ago already had open arms and said, yes, this is really cool. Good idea. Good job, little buddy. We can't give you money. We can't have anything to do with this because it's illegal. And I said, oh, well, worth a shot, but thanks you for listening. And they said, can you still, they actually asked me, can you please still send us the information you learned because we'd like to know. And I said, of course. Like, that's why I'm doing this, is to help everybody. Um, so then fast forward a year, my HBO Real Sports episode comes out with myself and my fiance and my team of people I work with, through healing people through mushroom ceremony, through our plant medicine church I'm a preacher for. And I sent a link to Dana White, and I sent a link to, because again, these are just my friends. Like, I don't fight anymore. I've known Dana since I was a teenager. It's just someone I just was like, he's going to want to see this because he knows the person I healed as well. Um, And I wasn't even thinking like, hey, let's get back in the study. I was just thinking like, hey, look at what I did for our someone who you used to pay to fight, you know? Um, and he texted me back faster than, honestly, faster than, what was one of the first people to text me back
Yeah.
compared to family, friends, anyone.
Yep.
He hit me back right away. It just shows you Dana's a good dude. And he just sent me back like a fist or a thumbs up and like, good job, buddy. This is cool. Nothing crazy. Um, and then he had Jeff Nowitzki reach out, who was the Golden Snitch. He's the guy that does he's the liaison between the UFC fighters and USADA. And, the drug testing as far as United States anti-doping. He's the guy who deals with all that, which is a big deal, which is a really, really, really big deal.
Mm-hmm.
I had Jeff reach out to me, who is the person I went through in the first place. And Jeff goes, hey, we want back in. We want back into the study. Can you reconnect us with Johns Hopkins? And I said, of course. Wow, that's, I knew this would happen. I just didn't know it happened as fast. So now, it's those talks. I don't want to say they're out of my hands, but again, I don't work at Johns Hopkins. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a scientist. I'm just the guy who asked a lot of questions, who connected all this. Obviously, for funding and all that sort of stuff, yes. This is going to be really expensive, but really not. It's not going to be that expensive comparative to what the information we're going to get. So, that all this is going to happen. I'm going to make it happen. That's like anyone I've talked to that's even a part of it. That's kind of like, well, I'm like, stop talking like that. We're going to make this work because it has to. Like, it's owed to the world. I owe it to these fighters because I know in turn it's going to affect everybody in the world. It's going to help out everybody. This is just the pollination effect. This is just a cool thing people can latch onto and go, I want to see the results of this, because if they can fix those people who put their lives and their brains and their bodies on the line for our viewing pleasure, whether that's fighting or football or hockey. We look at these and we admire these people. Well, we watch them ruin themselves on TV for our viewing pleasure. And they do it with a smile on their face. They do it for money. They do it for love. They do it for the glory. But there's a huge price we pay. And I'm just a realist. I'm just trying to be here as a safety net for people to be okay after it or during and to perform better. I mean, this not just I'm not stopping at just TBI. I've got all the performance numbers. We have all this figured out where we're going to put a performance study in with microdosing, trying to figure out that and trying to optimize human potential, trying to truly optimize human potential with sports performance. I mean, psychedelics and sports performance is going to be the next thing. Like we can, people, can not worry about steroids anymore. Now they can understand that people are in the zone. They're actually these super clean, healthy athletes that are clean, but they're able to perform at these crazy heights because of natural things, like psilocybin.
So I have like a kind of multifaceted question then. One, Oregon just kind of decriminalized everything there, so I feel like that has to change something. So
Yeah.
I do want to talk about that in a second, and then beyond, how many like you fought for? I checked for 16 years, not all professionally, but you were fighting for 16 years.
It was
How
all
many? Well, oh, it was all professional. Okay, that was just something I missed something. How many concussions do you think you had?
well, I mean, just outside of professional or out of fighting, um, I hit my head and put myself in the hospital for a couple of days snowboarding. I mean, I had a lot of gnarly. I
Just
was
in your life, then I guess. How many concussions are you thinking?
uh, dozens,
Dozens.
dozens of concussions. Yeah.
That's interesting because I remember talking to somebody who said he had one concussion from football. And even when we were having the conversation about how many concussions he had, he literally forgot what he was talking about.
Yeah.
Like while we were talking about concussions.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking one that if one does that, I feel like dozens has to really mess with your memory and like
Oh, dude.
everything up here, up between your
It,
ears.
it's really bad. Okay. But this is one thing I like to just put in everyone's face because it makes me tear up sometimes when I think about it. Um, when you look at a CT scan of someone who has a traumatic brain injury, a concussion, comparatively to a young child that's raped, the damage is the same.
The trauma is the same.
No, the brain damage
The brain
itself.
damage, same.
Brain
Okay.
damage looks exactly the same on the scans. So think why this young individual ends up growing into a crazy person when they're older, acting in these certain ways that we think, oh, we demonize them for certain
Right.
things. When you have brain damage like I've had, you understand that dude, it sucks, man. It's so hard dealing with the outside world. I get text messages, phone calls, messages on platforms every single day about people venting to me about their brain damage, fighters and athletes or whoever, and they're broken. You should see these paragraphs that get written to me
Yeah.
that are just jumbled mess of like not being able to interface with reality. And knowing that happens to a young person like that, to a person that's got this, and I mean, it's trauma does it to us. It's not just big whacks on the head. That's what science is showing. So man, so many people to work with. It's just I'm just showing you that it works on these people that are the most damaged. I'm fixing them, then cool, it'll work for everybody else. We just have to show the numbers and the analytics. And it's we already have them. That's the thing. We literally already have them. We have the routes. We have everything. The path is paved. It's just we have to just follow it.
I mean, I remember about 5 years ago first hearing about the possibilities
Yeah.
of mushrooms, like microdosing and taking them once every couple months, and what that does to like army vets. So, PTSD and all that. So I mean, if it can help someone like yourself who's on the extreme end of like concussion and possibly brain damage, what can it do for like someone who's just like not quite brain damage, but just like has trauma, like maybe a history of depression or something like that?
It works. It helps. It still does something called epigenetic neurogenesis. And that is the healing of your brain, the actual healing of the brain itself, the brain, the gray matter, your neural pathways. New ones are being built, old ones are being restored. Your receptors are being healed, whether there's the opioid receptors or pain receptors. These things, the whole thing is being fixed. People, we all think, oh, when you grow up, you're like, oh, you're gonna smoke weed, you're gonna kill your brain cells, and they're gonna die forever. And then you can't ever get them back. That's not true. You can fix your brain. You can fix your brain with, there is now it's proven with meditation. You can prove it with, I'm sure, breath work and things like that. We can do it. I don't know if it's proven yet. There's different technologies that I've been shown that they're trying to pair up virtual reality sort of stuff that help with neuroplasticity. So I mean, we're figuring out ways to heal the brain, and it's really cool. And you got to think that ties into certain diseases like Alzheimer's, Huntington's disease. Like those diseases have a very very basic path. Like oh, you have this and you go this way. This is what happens to you. And psychedelics can help stop that sort of stuff. At least not, maybe not reversed completely, or we don't know yet. I mean, hopefully.
Yeah.
But they're at least stop or slowing down the progression of these diseases. And we can go way off into like exosomal stem cell therapy sort of stuff that we're doing as well. But I will get into that. That's another whole other topic.
So what happens now with Oregon decriminalizing the
Well,
drugs?
what we're going to see is we're going to see a whole new industry being made up there. Massive industry. Psychedelics is going to be huge. Mushrooms alone is going to be huge. And we're going to see a lot of innovation out of it. But then you go into banking. How is that going to go? Because this is decrimmed up there. It's not legalized. It's only legalized
Right.
for a medical model. And again, I work in the medical model. I'm now working on the pharmaceutical side, which people might kind of poo-poo me for a little bit, but you have to understand that's where I'm going to make the biggest impact. And this is just the path that I have to take working with the UFC, is through the pharmaceutical model, through the FDA. But through Oregon, that's going to be a conscience-minded cannabis industry that's going to be much bigger. The cannabis industry blows up and is a total shit show because of the characters that are in it. It still has a gangster element. It still has a bunch of, sorry to say it, a bunch of fucking idiots running the show. Especially when it's decriminalized, there's no real structure to it. You're basically creating a giant gray market. Not basically, that's exactly what you're doing. An untapped gray market. And I'm not against it at all. I love it. I think it's cool. Great. But I'm just being real here. This is going to blow up. And, I've already been consulting for brands. We're just talking to people like, look, this is how it should go. It's not my space. I'm on the other side of it, but just to kind of help people like, look, this is the direction you need to go. Because people come to me as a steward to this whole movement. I do. It's cool to have say in a lot of big projects, or just at least give people information. That's not what I'm going to charge for. It's just valid information because they're a part of the industry that I pride myself on. So of course I'm going to give them the right tidbits. And no, this is what I think. Because if people really want to know, then I'm going to tell them. Like this is important. I mean, these are things that are going to change the world. This psychedelics are changing the planet for the better. I know for sure there's nothing else in the world that'll change it like this. And there never has been, the advent of maybe the internet. I mean, besides that, I guess.
So what about, I mean, I don't know if the research has said this yet or not, but there's, everything has a good and a bad to it.
Yeah.
So what might be the downsides to something like this?
Well, there's always an opportunity for abuse. Physical abuse, you can't do that with psychedelics. It's not physically abusive, but psychologically abusive.
Right.
People can be manipulated with it. People can, but that's just like that's the human condition getting involved. That's people being shitty, being getting involved. So it's like
Right.
um, we just have to control that. Is there's of course people with prior um, dispositions, so people, instances that they've been crazy before or crazy, I shouldn't use that verbiage. People who have had psychotic episodes before. Um, I do think that they should have the opportunity to do this, but those people need to be watched over, because it's just safety. We have to teach harm reduction, and I don't want anyone getting hurt. Obviously, like that defeats the purpose of what we're doing here, because I've seen it myself. I've seen people go down the wrong path with it, and that's that sort of stuff. Seeing this, I don't want it to turn into the church of psychedelics either.
Yes.
I don't I don't want it to be like this is it. This is like no. We have to.
You don't want it to become this like kind of cult like thing where it's like
Yeah,
this like big lifestyle that everyone like swears by and then like there's no like disagreement.
because yeah, exactly, because again, they're just tools. These are just tools. Like there's so much more to life than this.
Right.
Like I see why you had not just the legal reasons why back in the 70s these people turned from psychedelics to other ways of getting enlightenment, like kundalini yoga. I get it. Like I'm like, okay, I can get with what I get out of this chocolate, I can get this with hard work and breath work, like physical stuff. I can do that to get like, wow, my
Yeah.
own body can do it. That's amazing. And um I like hard work. That's what I do. So it's like when you look at it that perspective, yeah, sure, that's the next level. How do I bounce back and forth or use them both in conjunction? It's just there's so much exploration to be done in this space.
So I don't know if you know anything about this in particular, but like I know that studies have come out in the last couple years in regards to medical marijuana and just weed in general, where they're saying that uh your your brain chemistry can affect you know obviously you don't know this, but maybe you shouldn't smoke weed because your brain chemistry may not be built for it. Is that does the shrooms run the same risk?
Yes. I mean, everyone, we're all different a little bit. You got your genome typing. There are companies out there that are trying to figure out the human genome as far as like how to position certain formulations for certain people, to add longevity to lifespan and all sorts of stuff. So yeah, these medicines are being looked at in really advanced ways already. The things that I hear about all the time, and I'm like, whoa, okay, cool. This is really interesting. Like I didn't even know that was a thing. Like and so it's yeah, dude, there's advancements are being made at extremely high levels with these companies, and they all have different outlooks. This one's pharmaceutical, this one's over the counter, this one does this. I mean, like there's so many different ways to do it, and it's really cool to see the industry doing this.
So I feel like one of the issues that's going to come up is like the marketing of shrooms, like as a form of therapy, because even under the assumption that it becomes like a legal form like of therapy, it has such a reputation as a Schedule One substance of like being something that like you don't do. Like it's so bad. So how do you market something like this, and how do you change people's like mindsets, at least younger people's mindsets? on something that we've been taught is bad our whole lives?
Well, I have a puppet show coming out.
Like an actual puppet show?
Actual puppet show. Let me look at my Instagram. It's an educational adult puppet show about psychedelics. It's spurred from the cannabis industry, but Santa Maria is marijuana, cannabis, whatever you want to call it. She's plant medicine. She's my what I've been true to my whole life. I started smoking pot at 8 years old, so
Wow.
I have more memories, which is not a good thing.
You were an early adopter.
Yeah, but it's never done me wrong. My daughter started ingesting cannabis at 2.5 when she got sick. I started giving her RSO oil. So it's never done us wrong, So, we just got a lot tied into this educational show. We were just talking about it before I got on the phone with you. There's some really cool stuff happening and some ideas going on. And I've got the whole thing figured out. Like, I've got so much to do because as an educator now, I have to use my comedy. I have to use the fact that I'm doing a new podcast at the Comedy Store as an educational platform to talk about all this stuff. I mean, my specialty is mushrooms. The show will be about mushrooms. That's the main thing. It's myself, Frank Castillo, will be shooting it at the Comedy Store, using that as a platform to do it. And I'm going to have industry professionals from company owners to, having Dana White and Jeff Nowitzki on there to talk about, having athletes on it, veterans, having therapists, having shaman, having whoever, people that all work in mushrooms will be in this. And it's exciting, man. It's really exciting.
Well, a lot's coming up.
Yeah, there's literally so much. And I mean, of course, there's been points in this journey that I'm on where I was like, man, do I have to give up? Like, not that long ago, I was thinking like, fuck, am I gonna have to give this up and just settle for something? And no. And since that point, it has now been the first thing happens, and then the second thing happens, and then my puppet show, which is just a fun idea that I have on my Instagram. we don't even have a show out yet. It's just social media content with our puppets. And we're trying to get it budgeted for the show. We're trying to get money to do it. I get an offer. I get like, hey, we're going on these platforms. We need you. I want to use this for this. And I'm like, oh, wow. Okay. Oh, this sponsor hits me up out of nowhere and goes, hey, we want to do this. What do you have for us? We want you to do this for us. And I'm like, okay, cool. Now I just need to make sure I have time to do any of this stuff. I've been trying to get on here with you for the last couple of days, just because my life has been insane since the UFC, said all this stuff about me. My life has become really busy, really, really, really busy, and I'm really grateful for it. I'm trying to just take it in stride and just breathe and just go, okay, like, cool, this is really happening. All my dreams are coming true. All the hard work is paid off. Now it's just time to really like focus and make sure my energy is going in the right direction.
Yeah. So it kind of leads to my next question. You stopped fighting in 2018. So up until that point, you spent your whole adult life fighting. So was it kind of like your retirement that led you to be like, there's something here with shrooms that like can be like, that can really help people?
Yeah, that was my healing. I was broken. I was one of those people that was just a mess. Every version of every part of my life was a shit show. And I understood that I could heal someone with plant medicine because I did it to my daughter. Like I said, she got sick. We used plant medicine to heal her. And I've been around psychedelics most of my life. My parents have always respected them and said they're good. They're okay. They're good for you. Just respect them. And after hearing, being friends with Rogan and those sort of people, I just realized, and I just, again, I've always been around psychedelics. It's just something that has been a part of my life. growing up, like my brother and I always, partaking in them, and just part of that, I don't know, that life, the cannabis culture, but it had a lot. I don't know. It's just something that's always been around. Having hippie parents, I guess it's their fault. But my parents, they don't look like hippies. They're like rich white people. Like you wouldn't know that my dad smuggled cannabis around the world in the 70s just because he wanted to. They're like serious one percenters that
Yeah,
are,
I did my research. You came from like the like a wealthy Orange County background.
yeah, and like you wouldn't know how fucking cool my parents are. Like, it's really funny. So I was broken and I understood the science. I love science, always have. And science took a back seat. School took a back seat when I was like, I'm going to be a fighter. I knew I was going pro at something. And I just finally got back to the science of it. And in this big, jumbled, amazing time in my life, I retired. I said, DMT showed me the party's fucking over, man. You were world champion 7 years ago.
Yeah.
Let's stop and let's just move on. And first things first, gotta get off these pills, gotta get off this fentanyl, gotta stop living this way. And I did it. I got out of a messy relationship. Obviously using drugs together, just a mess. And it was just bad. And I healed myself physically. I physically healed the brain matter. I was able to put sentences together and think properly and carry a job and carry a conversation and, not have these inappropriate just outbursts of just stupid actions and words and thoughts and feelings and everything. So I got to a point where I'm like, oh, cool. But then I was void of emotion. I was void of everything. I didn't know how to I was just this like, wow, I feel better. But like, who the fuck am I? I'm
Mm,
not, I'm not this person that was numbed up for 20. I was on pills from 14 to 34. The one time I became sober, I became the best in the world, whatever that means. Um, and I retired. I had no idea who I was. I literally had no fucking clue. I knew I wanted to kill myself. I knew I just was like, I don't know who I am. I don't know what I am. But I got better. And then I started to do the research, and then I started to, get motivated by myself and motivated by other people. And then I started to learn more about what the motivation is doing, what the biohacking is doing, what the science is behind it. Just a smile and a laugh in the mirror when you splash water on your face every morning. What's happening chemically, neurochemically in your body to make the rest of your day better, to make the rest of my daughter's day better. Because I come out of my bedroom and I'm happy, and I wake her up by crawling in bed with her and telling her she's beautiful and I love her. And it's not, hey, wake up, let's go to bed, we gotta go to school. No, it's like there's caring and time and love in everything that you do. You learn to appreciate things. I took the genetic lottery that I had and I exploited it. And it was gnarly, and I'm a little crazy. I'm obsessive, like I maybe a little on the spectrum. Like whatever. It's like I just know that I have a lot to offer this world. So I fixed it and I got better, and now it's been this constant search for my own healing, because I know I can then teach people about it. I can then tell people like, look, this is what I did. You know how fucked up I was. You guys saw it. It was on TV. Like it was a mess. Now I'm better, and this is how I did it. These are the people that I help, or that helped me learn these things. That's what the whole McCall method is about. That's why I've been getting all this attention, because I just have a platform for really good people that help me and help other people.
so you talked, I glazed over some I had earlier, but you talked about epigenetics
Yeah.
like early on. Uh, I mean, do you think like epigenetics is like, I feel like it's one of like the major psychological issues in America that like we know nothing, that like people generally know very little about, but it's so often there.
Yeah.
In my family too. So I mean, do you think it can very much kind of deal with just lessening that, like the traumas that come from epigenetics?
Obviously, as you know, you ever studied Dr. Gabor Mate?
No, but basically, my grandfather was a Holocaust survivor.
Oh, shit. Okay.
So like, regardless, even though I'm two generations removed, as
Okay.
I've learned, the traumas
So,
pass right down.
yeah. So, exactly. Collective trauma. Go look up Dr. Gabor Mate. He was, I don't know if wasn't born in a concentration camp. I think he was a baby, Hungarian Jew, um, survivor. Like, it was, yeah. I mean, crazy, crazy life. And he is one of the most important people in psychology that's around right now. Um, and yeah, The Realm of Hungry Ghosts is an amazing book. I've read it. It's all about, the body keeps the scores by the other doctor. But you know how your trauma is stored in your tissue, and for you, your trauma was stored in your tissue before you were born.
Yeah, and the thing I've noticed in my family is that like it's lessening. Obviously, each generation it gets a little easier, and so I see the difference with
Yeah.
just not being two generations removed from it.
Oh man, and through work in psychedelics, you'll be able to release that trauma out of that tissue. You might purge, you might take a bunch of psychedelics, you might throw up like crazy, but that's good. You need to get that out. You need to purge these things out. Even having these really dramatic somasomatic experiences you see people have during ceremony, people passing out, fainting. You gotta make like it's heavy. I've been in that space, holding space for other people, leading people through journeys. Um, Dude, I don't know how they do it all the time. The shaman that I work with, I've sat in those positions in a circle, and dude, I don't I it's so heavy. It is so heavy to take those energies on and walk these people through it. It's my job. I've really found my calling as far as like with the HBO thing. When I was on HBO, my most recent revelation and my strongest trip that I had on HBO, I took 5 grams of mushrooms and was on HBO.
You were on shrooms while on HBO, like while you were recording the episode for HBO.
Recorded the episode, they didn't air it really, because it was too heavy. It was really heavy. It was really gnarly, but it was one of the most beautiful things I've ever been a part of. And after, I just realized I'm the person, I'm the guy that gets to bring the veterans, the special forces, savages, I mean, people, whether they're fighters or athletes, these people that have done gnarly shit, specifically veterans and fighters. Um, you are so compact with trauma. You climb into a cage in your underwear to beat someone up for blood money and give and receive PTSD, or you go to war as a hired gun, um, behind the guise of patriotism to go kill people. And I'm not knocking either one of them at all. They're necessary. Those were my two chosen paths: was sports, or if I really fucked up and couldn't get anything else together, my life together, I would go to the military and become special forces and do that because I know I'd be good at it. um, so these are my people. I get to take them from this realm into another realm to meet these shaman, and for them to meet their death. Like, this is not a fun job that I was like, oh, I want this, I want to do this. But no, this is my calling. I get to bring these people to meet their death and then bring them home safely, because they don't trust the normal shaman or the normal therapist to do this with them. They don't truly open up until they're around a room full of other savages. That's just how it works. So you want to get down to the meat and potatoes of what I do, of the real heavy shit. That's it. There's a bunch of other business stuff. There's, the fact that I'm part of now an owner of a percentage of a pharmaceutical company. Um, this information will come out this week, so I'm sure this is okay. I can talk about it. I do all this fancy stuff with the UFC and whatever, dude, I'm in it for these people. I'm in it to be this person that they feel comfortable and safe enough with to take these journeys and to heal themselves. So whether they want to live a life, a safe, sound, and beautiful life post fighting, just to be good with their family, to be good to everyone out there, I can fix them, I can help them, and give them the tools after. Because again, this is just a tool for the immediate. Then you have tools for after to help integrate all the stuff you learn. Like that's important, by the way. Integration is the most important thing here. The psychedelics are just tools. They're just tools, just like diet and exercise. There has to be an entire life about it all. It's not just like psychedelics. That's what I have to push to people all the time. Like, oh, so I just take some mushrooms and I'm better. And I'm like, no. I mean, potentially, maybe if you're lucky, you can take way too much mushrooms and be at Coachella and have an amazing experience that changes you for the rest of your life. Or you could be, you could have a really bad time. You could end up, having a really bad time. You get arrested, whatever, some bad shit happens to you. Someone takes advantage of you. I don't know. You get in a fight, whatever, or if you're lucky, you find myself and my fiance, like we were in Vegas and my friends own nightclubs and, hotels and all this stuff. I've just been going out there forever, fighting, being an athlete, knowing the people that I know. And one of my buddies has a supermodel girlfriend. Well, his supermodel girlfriend and all her supermodel friends take too much acid. And MDMA, they took something and they had a bad trip. And I walk into the nightclub and he looks at me, goes, "What the fuck, man?" And I was like, "Whoa, I just got here. Hold on." I see the girls that are all like 6'5" in heels and I hug them around their waist. And I'm like, "What's up?" Like, "How are you ladies?" And again, these are my friends. And dude, they're all having a bad time.
Right.
Like I can see this is going bad. So I'm like, shit. And I'm always around tall women. My fiance is 5'11". I'm 5'5". My fiance is a 5'11" blonde Serbian woman who's really, really very beautiful. It's pretty crazy. But, they're all in heels. Like she's 6 whatever heels, and I'm in sneakers because I don't get dressed up to go to a nightclub. And I have to sheepdog these young ladies up to my room because this is going south. I have to lay them down all around, scattered around my room just to go through. I'm holding some of them. They're crying. We're like, I'm also, taking the same substance they are because I'm like, I'm going to get in the same headspace. Like I'm a professional. Come here, give me that. Let's go. Let's walk. Let's talk about breath work. Let's talk about NLP. What are the stories you're telling yourself? What are the stories you're telling me? Like like I said, there's a lot involved here, and you can go either good or bad. Like or people even taking psychedelics with someone and then getting taken advantage of. Like I'm the shaman. I hold the power. Let me put the power inside you. Like I'm telling you, man, there's a lot of crazy shit out there, and we have to just we have to be. I know I'm going off on a tangent, but
Very good. So, what would you say is the difference between, like just like an acid trip at Coachella or whatever versus like psychedelic therapy?
Whether it's clinical, like with Johns Hopkins, or you come work with me. Again, I'm not a facilitator. I'm not a shaman. My fiance is a shaman. She was raised in Serbia with a grandmother that was a shaman. It's part of her lineage. I'm the educated observer. I'm the world traveler that just goes, "Oh, cool! All these natives are giving me their medicine," and I learned some stuff. I'm teaching about it. But you get in there with a shaman. You get in with a real worker like that, and it's setting an intention. So, what's the mindset? Like, why are you here? What are you thinking? Where are you? Just setting. What sort of place are we in nature? Are we in a beautiful church like we usually do it in a temple, which is realistically just a mansion up in the hills in the woods.
Yeah.
But it's beautiful. It's amazing, and there are portals. You can create a portal anywhere, really. And then intention. Why are we here, and what are we looking to get done? And you have a guide through it. A good shaman or facilitator will give you medicine, will lay you down, put a blindfold on you, and you are by yourself. They do not talk to you unless you speak to them. And even when you do speak to them, they don't answer your questions. They help you. They just keep you to guide your own narrative, because you can't be programming someone while you're in there, or while they're in there, I should say. That's not fair, you know. Um, it's about, music. God, music is so big. Music, comfortability, safety. Like I said, setting an intention. Where are we going? Why are we here? And then from there, um, I recommend some homework before. A good healer or shaman will give you some homework before. Um, and we're talking about all the woo woo, whether it's astral projections or you're an Enneagram type or archetypal stuff. And, diet is huge. Breath work, meditation before, journaling. And then you have, that's pre-trip. Then you have the trip, and then you have post-trip, which is again more homework, more journaling. That's where you have an integration coach like myself, like my fiance, where we can connect once a week. Read me back some of your journal entries. Tell me what you've been thinking. Let's revisit the trip, and let's talk about A, B, and C that we know we already went over yesterday or last week. But let's talk about it and see what have you thought about since then. And you can kind of pick apart their programming of what they're saying, what they're hearing, what they're doing, what they're thinking. And just kind of help them. Just go, okay, well, what do you think about this? It's really asking them more questions and letting them answer them for themselves, because I don't have the answers. It's just giving them tools to do it. It's cool, man. It feels good to give people these tools, because like I say, I did it. Anyone can do it.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack there.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
In regards, I mean, what would you? So like you talk about a shaman.
Yeah.
I truthfully I should ask just for like just can you briefly explain like what a shaman is? Just kind of like some like the main roles of a shaman.
Uh, the shaman would be the person that is facilitating the medicine work.
Okay.
They are a light worker, a person that is connected to other dimensions, other worlds, the earth, and Mother Nature at a level that's just, it's hard to understand. It really is. And there's like I get, again, my fiance being raised by one as a grandmother. She'll get around other people in the space that are those sorts, and they just have a different aura about them. It's pretty funny. They start talking and I just watch. But again, people that can walk around, um, let's say a farm in Serbia where she's from, and pick up a plant. And granted, she's a scientist. She's a world famous scientist, been a scientist for 26 years, UCLA professor. She can pick a plant and look at it and tell you the Latin name, and then also tell you what it does and all the beneficial properties and all this stuff. It's pretty crazy. Obviously, hers is a specialty of combining both, of combining, paganism, shamanism into neo-shamanism, neo-paganism, and really connecting with the land. I mean, think, her grandmother was a woman that was never went to school, never learned to read or write, never went farther than a 50-mile radius outside of where she grew up on the farm, but could speak Sanskrit, could heal people, could birth animals, could birth babies, could do all this crazy stuff. So it's like that's the sort of I'm talking about. That's the sort of thing. It's these people that have been doing this for generations. Like she would see her grandfather leave for days at a time and come back like with a big sack full of mushrooms, and like a fucking deer on one shoulder and a sack full of mushrooms on the other, sort of thing, like off into the wilderness. And yeah, that's the sort of individual I'm talking about.
So does this type of work with shamans, with just shroom psychedelic therapy, does this kind of classify itself as Eastern medicine?
Not so much Eastern, maybe. I mean, because there's um, there's books like, have you ever heard of The Road to Eleusis?
I haven't, no.
Okay, so The Road to Eleusis was written by a mentor of mine named Robert Forte. Um, there's a new book that just came out called The Immortality Key. That guy was just on Rogan's not too long ago talking about how he had never done drugs before, but he found this book and he wanted to research more and talking about the tie with psychedelics and religion, all the way back to the Greeks. Eleusis is an actual city in Greece you can go to today, um, where scholars and emperors would go to ingest psychedelics. Most likely something that was ergot fungus based, which is like LSD. That's where LSD is derived from. Um, but it was shrouded in secrecy, like Fight Club. Like you don't talk about Eleusis. You talk about Eleusis, they'll kill you or they'll drive you out of the city at least.
Right.
Um, but there's so much tied into it where it's real, it's true. Like this is all, and all religions, it seems, have been using these sort of things, whether it's soma or whatever, it's the vehicle to enlightenment. That's what psychedelics are. And that's what we're learning. We're learning that this was hidden from us a long time ago, but that we have been using psychedelics for an extremely long time, whether it's a warrior culture, religious culture, what have you. That's what we do. That's what we've always done. Whether it's Amanita muscaria mushrooms, which is a different compound than psilocybin. Let's go muscimol, and there's something acid. I can't think of the word. Then there is, psilocybin in mushrooms. There's a bunch of compounds in psychedelic mushrooms that we don't even know about. Really, we're just learning. People ingesting DMT through ayahuasca, and 5-MeO inhibitors. You've got peyote and San Pedro, and like there's a lot of different things you can do, or even think about things like the Salem witch trial.
Mm.
All those women get burned at the stake, because they're acting all crazy, and whether it was over sexualized or seeing things or whatever, they were ingesting ergot fungus that was on rye bread
Oh, wow. Yeah, fungus also is.
or on acid,
Yeah.
and they took a bunch of acid and they acted crazy and yeah, foaming at the mouth, and they took, I'm sure, probably too much. Who knows? I don't know, but it's just crazy to think that there's been so much of this over the years.
So I'm sure you're met when you tell people about this, like strangers, or maybe they reach out to you on Instagram. I'm sure you're met with like a lot of skeptics, just like complete like people are just like, no, none of this can work. How do you respond to that? Do you respond to it even?
Yeah, I love talking to people. It's what I do for a living. Um, but the skepticism is just, it's silly, and now people can't argue with me. They
Be-
literally can't. They cannot argue with me
Because of the studies?
because of the studies, because all these things that were theorized are validated now. And with the UFC and these major universities all over the world are all doing this, and then just go, guys, if you're not going to listen, then don't listen. I don't care. Like, and whether that's because of religion or whatever, what have you, or people that are sober. I have people that are in the program that come over all the time to talk about it, ask me questions about it. They're friends of mine, or just playing with my friends. Some of my guy friends that I know are still sober because we all grew up partying too much and doing too many drugs. So some of us are still sober. Um, and like my one buddy, no man, me, I just if I want to talk to Jesus, or I'll just like pray. And it's like, but you want to talk to God? I have a phone. I have a phone right now. You eat this and you can talk to God right now. Like, it's just the vehicle to enlightenment. I'm not telling you it's God itself, but God is within you. That's what I'm getting at.
People also, when you talk about shrooms, do they kind of just assume that what you're talking about is what one would consider like an acid trip, essentially like an unsupervised acid
Well,
trip?
yeah, most people don't want to go. and sit with a shaman. Dude, I get to go sit with and facilitate for extremely powerful people, extremely famous people. Like you blow your mind. And these people, I don't even charge these people. These are like friends of friends or friends of mine. Go, hey, before I go do this, I want to do this. And again, they don't want to be around a shaman. They want to be with just me,
Right.
someone they're comfortable with.
Hmm.
And I don't sit there and say a big prayer and all this stuff over it. It's just a little bit of eye contact, a little bit of talking, a little bit of prayer, and just kind of setting a good intention and going, all right, well, we're here. Hour later, you sit up and, oh, I just died. Yeah, it's okay. You're dead. It's all right. Well, where are we going to go from here? You're realizing this is safe and you're okay. Death is no big deal. And you like, yeah, it's it's an interesting, it's a very interesting spot. I mean, the people that I see, whether they're like, this is a big one. Tony Robbins. He's admitted he's done 5-MeO, and 5-MeO DMT is the strongest hallucinogen out there. And think if Tony Robbins is doing it, just imagine who else is doing it.
You've worked with Tony Robbins?
We're not officially. We're in the same circles. Um, and I will eventually. I can't wait to meet him. We've got some of the same friends, and my boss or my fixer, my not my agent. He is. Ray. You ever see the show Ray Donovan?
Like once or twice. I'm not. I know the plot of it. Yeah, I know like what it's about.
So that show is based on a man named Rob Hickman. Uh,
Okay.
he's Mike Tyson's handler. He's the one that rebranded Tyson. He's
Like
now,
the recent rebrand of Tyson.
yeah. He's produced a bunch of movies, and that's my guy. He's my representation in Hollywood.
Right.
So through him, now it's I'm it's cool. It's cool to be this person. To be that this work has paid off, and again, I'm not here trying to be cool. I'm not here trying to be famous. I already did that, and it made me a shitty person.
Well, you're being cool now, though.
Yeah, I mean, I keep telling people I'm pretty cool. Don't worry, but it's just I'm using my platform for good. That's all. I'm just trying to help people. That's all I want to do. And if I can, along the way, I can provide financially and abundantly for my life and my family and my friends, then great. It's perfect. I'm stoked.
I know we're running out of time here, so I want to finish. I want to end on this note. When you were in the UFC, I mean, when you were a teenager, I know you got into some trouble, some gang trouble when you were when you were in the UFC. You developed this persona as like a bad boy,
Yeah.
sort of UFC, and now you've been retired for a couple of years. So what kind of led you to be like, this isn't the look I want to give, like, publicly anymore?
Um, I was just embarrassed. I was embarrassed about what I built. It was a joke, and then it was like I was just, yeah. I was never proud of myself because I wasn't carrying myself properly. And then after, the whole reason I'm alive to today is my daughter.
Right.
Like, there's no other reason why I would have killed myself a long time ago. Um, I wouldn't have had to go through this struggle. This shit wasn't easy. It's still not easy, but that's life. Um, and I looked at her and I was just like, you know what? I need to be a different person. I need to make her proud. And man, to have your own daughter who, again, I raised her myself for the first 5 years of her life. Her mother was going through some stuff, and um, just how it is. Uh, she's like her mom's like one of my best friends. Um, I'm so prideful, and plus I saw her mother do better.
Mhm.
Then I became the issue, and I was like, oh fuck, oh no, I never thought this would happen, and I just I had to do better. I had to, like I couldn't be that person. Um, I mean, plus times are changing. Like you can't interface as that person anymore. It's just not
Not,
appropriate.
not,
It's not, like I can't
you'll,
do this,
you'll you'll burn a lot of bridges.
right? And it's like I don't want to do that. Like I can't function normally, and the guy that I was in this day society, no, especially without millions of dollars and crazy fame. Like I didn't quite get there. So it's like if you're that guy, you can be this weird character that's inappropriate. I guess people will give you a pass or whatever. But like I
Right.
still don't be that guy. Like I'm around some of those people, and I'm just like,
But
wow.
you're not a big fan of them anymore though. So it's like
It's
you think of them differently.
yeah. And I just see it like whether it's a guy that's worth $1 billion that is just a fucking asshole, and everyone's just around you because you're a billionaire,
Yeah,
and
it's
because
not because you're a good guy.
yeah, you're cool sometimes, or oh, you're famous. Like no, dude. Like I want people to genuinely want to hang out and like be in my presence and hang out with me, and me being there.
Mm.
Like they want me to hang out with them. You're like, oh, bro, like come, like that's fun. Forever, like I didn't get invited to weddings and fucking shit like that. Like, all right, if I did, I didn't show up because I was a train wreck. Like, I want to have like real friends. I found out that I was just a selfish, egotistical psychopath that was bent on one thing, that was becoming the best in the world. I was tortured. I was tortured
You're
because
right.
I accomplished something that I always wanted, and then I fucked it up and I lost it right away. And I was always, it was just trying to get above the water so I could breathe, just so I can get there. And, it wasn't a good look. It wasn't a good time.
You kind of ended up being like your own worst enemy.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
100%. Had so many opportunities because people understood how good I really was. I mean, I was positioned to be Conor McGregor before Conor McGregor was even around. Um, and I fucked that up. And sure, I'm not Conor. I'll be the first to admit that. Like, that guy's truly special.
Yeah.
Can catch lightning in a bottle whenever he wants. And maybe if I had my shit together, if I was able to use microdosing and stuff for my performances, sure, I think I could have been able to pull his sort of stuff off. Because look at what I've been able to do business wise and all this other stuff. Yes, I'm special like him, but maybe not. Maybe I would have just the same shit would have happened. I don't know, but like, it's in the past. So now I just go, come on, I'm moving on. new things.
Good way to end.
Yeah.
Good end. Well, I know we're about done on time here. So where can everyone find you for future updates? Because I know there's a lot of stuff coming out very soon.
Yeah, I would say my website, if you want to book some integration stuff and work with me, go to the McCallmethod.com. You can sign up there. Or I would say check out my Instagram. All my social media is my old nickname. It's just Uncle Creepy MMA. Again, I don't take anything serious. It was a bad joke that I wrote down as a fight, and it just stuck. People loved it. And I was like, you guys are stupid, but it's going to make me money. So Uncle Creepy MMA. That's where you'll see most of my stuff. The McCall Method on social media as well. My new show is the Intellectual Giants, where I just interview smart people that I think are intellectual giants. Not that I think of myself as one. I'm just trying to get there. Let's see. I have the Puppet Show, which is the Puffets on social media. Again, nothing, no big episodes have been dropped. It's just social media stuff right now. There's a Comedy Store show coming out. I mean, there's a lot of stuff. Just stay tuned. I'll be around. We'll do it again.
Do it again. Follow him on Instagram. I think that's probably where you'll get the big updates. I feel like
Uncle Creepy MMA, which will be changed eventually. Dude, once you get a blue check mark under one name, you can't change it. To change it, it's going
I
to
did
cost me
not.
like $4,000 to change my fucking name on social media without losing my blue check mark.
Oh, you want to keep that verified, but
No, right?
they won't verify me, man. So I don't know. I applied one time just to see what would happen.
All right, man. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you for me bother you. Thank you for listening. Be sure to check out Ian at themccallmethod.com, his website, or Uncle Creepy MMA, and be sure to follow Bothering Strangers on social media at Bothering Strangers. Everyone have a good one.